then I wanted to have this rule for myself that if performance I wanted to do from somebody else, I have to ask for permission, I have to pay for permission, I have to know, the context of performance, and I make my own version. But in the title, I always have to say performance, let's say Joseph Beuys talking about that hair, reperformed by Marina Abramovic. So you always write where the come material. And that's what I done also and then I wanted to open this whole area in MoMA. But the thing is that it's never been respected, this kind of rules. People do it anyway, that they will take elements and kind of redo it. And even young critics will not write when they praise young performance artists doing one work, that actually this work is inspired by this and this artist. They will just create a situation that is completely new work, never been done in the world. And this is really not fair. I think that we have to look reality always in the new light. Today, everything is copying everywhere. So then, if we are doing this, let's see, the performance art is a live form of art, is a living form of art, is a time-based art. So it's better to live than to be just a reproduction in the photograph, in the book. But in the same time, my generation of artists think that you have to be original, you have to be, never been copied. But it's not realistic. And also it's not, so what? Give your ego up and then just let it open, this whole thing. And even performer artist is younger than you, if he's more charismatic, if his intention is better, or even bring the new elements to performance. Everything is better than not to be performed. The performance is a living form, have to stay that way.
Well, I know a lot of times art, and particularly in the 70s, there was this reaction against the market and commodification of art. But as you say, that's the world we live in. And I guess a question comes particularly for performance art, and you were actually one of the pioneers in working with a gallery as a way to, be able to at least profit from your own work. But it raises very interesting questions about copyright in terms of where does the work exist? If someone performs your piece, shouldn't they pay you in a sense, like just like a copyright fee?
In an ideal world, yes. I never received one penny from any reperform, and they're performing everywhere. It was amazing, like the Rhythm Zero piece, when you have 72 objects on the table and you can do whatever.
Right.
They've just been performing Hong Kong. And I saw the images. The only new element they put on the table, including the guns and all the rest. It was a new element, the 6 bananas. I never had bananas. I never had bananas. We didn't even have in ex-Yugoslavia bananas in those days. So this is how the things are changing. But no. But the other thing is really...
should museums, though, the same thing? Should museums essentially be paying if they want to show performance art?
But they actually start doing it. Right now, I have to say, as we speak, next month is opening a very big exhibition called 13 Rooms, with the 13 performances in different periods, curated by Hans Ulrich Obrist and Klaus Biesenbach in Sydney, in the Museum of Modern Art there. And they are all reperformances of different works. And my Luminosity performance with the bicycle seat is going to be reperformed. And actually, I've been paid first time the honorar for reperforming, ever.
So maybe this is...
In Australia. But then it's very interesting, this whole question about, what you sell in performance, because it's immaterial. That's another big subject.
Exactly.
What is the art? What is the documentation? What is the video? How that all works. That's another big discussion.
Right.
But I just wanted to say that every time economy go down, or that we have a crisis, with money, the performers come up. It's like a phoenix coming out of his own ashes every time. Because when the economy is strong, the commodity and art and the art fairs and all this art as a commodity goes, the prices are sky high. But when everything goes down, performers just come up. Because performance is such a pure form of art. So actually one of the purest, because of the immateriality of the nature. One of the most beautiful pieces, to explain this immateriality, was the piece of Yves Klein in 1956 on the bridge of the Seine. He sold to his collector artist sensibility, and And the transaction was made like this: the collector and him, this beautiful photograph, and him standing on the bridge, and he's saying to collector, "I'm selling you my artisan's ability." Collector asked how much. He said the number, and the collector write the check, and he gave him the check, and he take the match and burn the check, and all the ashes go into the Seine, and this is it. That's good old days.
Well, in the documentary, Ule mentions that you have become part of the culture industry. Were you stung by that comment of his?
Okay, kind of sarcastic, but I really think it's very important that you're in control as an artist, because it's not just enough that you sit in studio doing the work. I wanted to be in control of my product. I want to know where things goes. I have office, I don't like studios. I never work in studio, but I have office with most wonderful people working for me right now, the Sidney Russell and Giuliano Arenciano. So they are really people who organize things. I get the idea, we organize, and then I go and realize whatever it is. My ideas come from life. I go to Brazil 2 months and do work there, and then I come here and then I produce it. But for this, you have to have a structure. You have to have the entire establishment. And it's 40 years of work. I made my entire MoMA show with 1 assistant. Now I have 3. Jeff Koons have 86. So it's very different stories, so I don't think I'm establishment.
Well, actually, one of the things that you talked about is that a lot of young people who want to be artists don't really realize what being an artist involves. In fact, so much to do that has nothing to do with really the art itself. You were talking about just administratively and organizing it and all of this. I mean, you have to spend a lot of time not doing art as well.
But yes, but this is the old thing. You have to be soldier. You have to be able to do all that. There's no, I don't know, it's not anymore the galleries like Sona Bent or Leo Castelli who was doing everything for artists. And they would just pay their rents and do everything. They would just do the work. It doesn't exist anymore. This was old days. Now you have to be self-employed and you have to absolutely deal with all the aspects of life, and plus have time to create, and plus be better than everybody else.
Right.
And this is so hard. In this city, they live 375,000 artists as we speak. This is like a town. You know how much work is that, and everybody's producing, and how much people, they filtrate and how much it stays, and it's really incredible. It's not easy at all to deal with that and still, do good work.
Right. Well, one of the first things that you mentioned tonight when we were talking about is what you need in terms of the total commitment to be an artist, but that doesn't necessarily make you a good artist. Yeah. Can you be totally committed and still produce something that's bad?
Yes.
And how do you distinguish? How do we distinguish between good and bad?
Wow. It's such a good question. It's very complicated because it's, just to give you one great example, when Eiffel Tower was made in Paris, the critics was thinking that was the most ugly construction ever been made in history. When the Fifth Symphony of Beethoven was composed, the critics said that was the most horrible piece of music ever done. And then a century later become something else. So you can't really be certain. The human, in different centuries, state of mind of society are different. And this is why the art have to have so many layers of meaning and to be complex. Art can't just be, social, it can't be just political, it can't be just, feminist or whatever. You have to have everything together so that every society can take layer at the time he needs. And that kind of art have a long life, otherwise it doesn't. So it's very difficult to say what is bad in this century, maybe is great the next one. And who are we to understand that? It's not easy. But the commitments, that's another thing. Commitment is the rule number 1. You have to give everything you have, entire being, everything it takes to do things. And then it's not up to you anymore. You have to let it go. So what happened, but you know that you've done 100%. This is always the first thing you have to do.